Hey, Dominic, the CX guy here. Nice to see you again, or welcome to my channel if you're just joining. So quick intro about me. My name is Dominic. I've been a Zendesk consultant for the past 8 years. I've been a Zendesk partner for the past 2 years. I have been subcontracted by Zendesk to work on project setup, like the one that we will be discussing today. And I'd like to share the methodology on how to do that. So a Zendesk setup from scratch is something which takes up quite some time. It differs from the type of account you have. So either if you're on a professional or if you are on enterprise or if you have any special requests, all projects are different. So the way that the setup is done usually follows the same type of approach. However, depending on project specifics, it can vary, especially with the time it needs to be implemented. So this is the first video of a long list of Zendesk setups. I mean, not a long list of Zendesk setups, a long list of videos about how to do a Zendesk setup right. And in doing this first video, I would like to cover what this long list would look like and what you'll be getting. These are all free. I don't charge anything for these. I want you to get the most out of it. I feel that I want to give back something, some of the stuff that I've learned, and also I also have a selfish reason because I obviously in doing these types of videos, the information gets cemented in my let's say skill set. So giving back and also cementing things, and also yeah, maybe potentially finding someone to work with. So okay, so what you'll be getting today is a list that I have used while working at Zendesk and a list that I have used prior to you working at Zendesk. So I have solidified it into some presentations and also into some now videos that I want to share with you. And what I'm going to be doing is, like, if you're unfamiliar with the channel, I share my screen and I show you exactly what I have in mind. So I have a list of tasks that I go through, and yeah, a step-by-step guide on how we are going to do this setup. The advantage is, like, if you do the setup right from the very beginning, then you're setting yourself up to having let's say a well streamlined system, and you can potentially save a lot of money because you can always roll back and come in and find a professional to help you untangle what you've set up. And yeah, you can definitely come back and reiterate, but you have the advantage of doing it right from the get-go, which sets you up at a better pace than most people that start out with Zendesk. So the way this usually works, I'm not judging anyone. I'm just expressing some of the numbers that I'm seeing. Customers start out with Zendesk. I also don't like to necessarily look at training videos, and I start out with any system and I think like, oh, I've used systems before. I'll know how to use this one. But given the complexity of customer service, usually you have to follow a training or some best practices, because if you do setups based on limited knowledge of the product, then you don't know what you're impacting in the future. So again, if you're doing it right from the get-go, then you can save your company money, and you can also be autonomous and not necessarily need the intervention of consultants in the future. I'm not necessarily trying to take away bread from myself from the future, because I like to do these projects and I like to optimize systems as well. But I also like to set them up well to start with. You will do this if you do this right. Again, I'm going to finish in a bit about this. If you do it right, usually how this works is, like, you do have your normal job as well, and after a while, specifically maybe like in 2 years, if you do it right, then you will need my advice again, because you have your own job and you can focus on learning a new one, which is being a Zendesk expert, which in itself is a job. So the information is all out there. in forms of articles mostly, and I'm trying to take up those articles and make them in these videos. All right, so let me share my screen so I can show you what I have in mind with the Zendesk setup from scratch. So this is the methodology that I use, that I like to use. Okay, I don't know if you can see my screen, but hopefully you can. Okay, so I am in an Asana right now. I use this for project management, and I have pre-written here a template for the Zendesk setup. I'm not married to this project management tool. It's just one that I like to use. I've used Trello, I've used Basecamp, I've used Jira, I've used Monday.com. I've used many project management tools, and I'm in no way necessarily fixated on Asana. This is just the one that I like to use now. So the prerequisites of us starting together obviously is to sign a scope of work, so an SOW. Then the next order of business is a kickoff call, right, where we get to know each other, who's a project sponsor, who's a project decision maker, who is who, meet and greet, and have everyone lined up with the project planning. Presenting the workbook. This is something which I will do in a bit, because this is something which is very important in us starting to work together. So I'm not going to present it now. I'm going to do this a little bit later. Present the Asana tool. Like, this is where we'll be collecting tasks. This is where these are the main, let's say, bird's eye view tasks, and each one can have subtasks and subtasks that we can discuss. We can link bugs or problems or concerns, and we can discuss. Establish the communication. So I like Slack, like most people these days. I also use Skype because I'm nostalgic. And I use Teams as well, Microsoft Teams. Usually for meetings, I use Zoom or Google Meet. I prefer Zoom because this is my tool of choice. To start working, obviously, I need access to your Zendesk. It has to be administrator access. And then the project plan is essentially, if I click this, it's just going to be an outline of what we'll be discussing task by task in here. So, okay. So after we've done all these, then comes the discovery phase, which is, this is the phase where we get to know your company. We get to know your business. I get to ask you everything that I can think of about what your business does, how it does it, why it does it. We have to focus on why, right? Because the why determines how we can do things. So that's the easy part. But understanding why we're doing something is the most, let's say, important in my, at least in my job. Because how we do it and when we do it is just falls into place after we've established why we're doing it. So also, from my perspective, for me, it's just pressing a bunch of buttons in Zendesk which is interface I'm used to. So it doesn't really quite, it's not very time consuming for me. However, if I do something and if I don't necessarily do it right from the first time, then I have to revert back to it and do it again. I try to avoid that as much as possible. So the first thing of the discovery phase is me presenting the customer preparation homework. So in order for us to have a lucrative meetings is for you to do some homework. And this homework, first off, it requires some business requirements. And let me see if I can find that document for you. I don't have it here. So let's see, workbook example, configure work, this one. It's an Excel spreadsheet. So configuration workbook and checklist. So this is a workbook that I use, which is tailored to your specific business needs. What I need first is your business requirements, and for this I have a summary statement. I need a project scope. I need project goals and objectives. I need a needs statement, project requirements. Who are the stakeholders in the project, strengths, weaknesses, analysis, limitations if there are any, and obviously timeline and deadlines. So there's also a description of what each of these is about. I want you to do these before we start working together. And this is a good exercise for you to see if you're actually understanding what you need to do in Zendesk. So in your customer service tool, if you don't, it's not necessarily that you do this in great detail. That's not necessarily the point. The point is to make sure that you're aligned with what you're trying to do inside your company. So it has nothing to do with me. The reason why I need this, and I'm telling you, it's to your advantage, because you can hold me accountable. Like, are we achieving these goals that we set out to do in the first place? And if not, why not? Okay, so let's roll back and yeah, do it again and make sure that we're doing it right. So this is something which I encourage you to do, because it holds me accountable, but most importantly, it holds you accountable as well. Okay, so this is the business requirements, the first order. There's a lot of items to be discussed here, but I don't want to go into the details, because there's as we go through the list of the that I have in Asana, we'll roll back to this. Okay, now it's the use cases or business flows or user flows or user journeys. I have discussed about this in a previous video as well, specifically in the Zendesk setup, in the Zendesk optimization video. It's a similar approach, because it's much easier to do a collection of business flows or business journeys or user flows, however you want to call it, or use cases. If you do this, if you collect these like from, let's say, from the very beginning, and you document what processes you have ongoing in your business, then it's very easy for you to, for example, if you have someone coming into the team and you're expanding in 2 years' time, you want to have some documentation for whatever's going on in the business. You don't want to have everything in your mind. I know that's the temptation, and like over 90% of people try to have this approach where they think that they can remember everything and they can pass the information over to whoever is joining the team. However, that proves to be very time consuming. I have tried this myself, and I'm not, I don't want to do this whenever I'm onboarding someone new to work together. I am, for example, specifically doing this kind of video, so whoever is starting out will see these videos and will know exactly what this is about, and I don't have to do it 50 times over. There's also the unfortunate situation where maybe you leave the company, and in 2 or 3 years, or you get promoted and you need to have someone else fill the role, which I've seen this countless times, and this happens so often that I'm actually this is actually why I'm insisting a lot on this issue specifically, that if you document everything from the very beginning and you keep adding to this list of use cases or business flows, it's going to be much easier to scale. You want to be mindful, because you can be great. And this is one of the ways to do it, because if you do it, you're ahead of 90% of everyone else, and that's a good place to be. Alrighty. So use cases, what this looks like, it's in the same document. I try to keep everything into one place. So business requirements, now we're going to go to use cases. So I won't get into the specifics of the use cases, because yeah, every system is different. But I want to just show you like a very an example which, I don't know, just makes sense to go through, so you can do this exercise on your own. And obviously we then meet and we discuss and we see if this makes sense or not, and what needs to change. I ask the right questions, you ask me the right questions, and then we come to an understanding. So this was created by me. Is it a global use case? Yes. Who's the department taking care of it, or the group that is going to be handling it? So use case name, new user account. So a user comes in and wants to create an account with you. And who are the actors? It's going to be end users or customers and agents. So customers and an agent that works in Zendesk. In this case, the email channel is, I'm just laying this out for the email channel. There's obviously, depends on your business. You can use, you can be an omni-channel company, which is recommended, and Zendesk is the right tool for that. So you can use chat, you can use the guide with forums, with knowledge base as well. You can use social media, you can use a phone, you can use, yeah, a whole bunch of channels. You can use like APIs, depends on if you want to integrate with a backend, etc. In this case, we're just looking at an example of one channel, which is the email channel of how a user creates a new account. And obviously, for example, somebody can call you and say, I want to register an account, or they want to, or they could maybe potentially write to you on Facebook that they want to create a new account, etc. But again, you have to document everything, be as thorough as possible, be a champ. So email channel, let me walk you through. So the precondition is like the first step is customer sends an email to help@yourcompany.com, which is an inbound message. And these inbound message, right? You don't have to do anything. The customer does that for you. Ticket is created in Zendesk. This is a system, for example. The system does this automatically. Customer receives an auto recognition reply. This is a trigger in Zendesk. You don't have to know these. Obviously, you can just write these 1, 2, 3, like the steps, what it takes from a request to be created until it gets solved, and what are the steps that need to be taken for an agent to, yeah, mark this as solved, right? So in me now explaining this, I realized that if you're just starting out with Zendesk, you don't know what a trigger is, you don't know what a macro is, what the system does and what it doesn't. So what you want to do is to document step by step from start to finish, like what is supposed to happen to a request when it comes into the system and how it needs to be worked on by your agent team. Okay, so document this here as I'm going to, I can share this potentially if you need it. And yeah, you can start having this exercise, but this is something which, yeah, which we'll be doing together anyway, but you have to do it beforehand, like, because I don't want to influence you. Okay, so now once we've collected the use cases, then we have our discovery sessions, right? So you've done your homework, everything is fine. Everything is fine and dandy, actually. It's lovely. Now we start to do the discovery session, where we essentially discuss these use cases or business flows that you've laid out, and we go through them one by one. We translate them into Zendesk features. We discuss them. We see who are the actors. We see who handles what, like what departments need to handle what language is supported, or the intricacies and the intricacies of each business case is important to be documented, because based on that we can create exceptions, we can create business rules that cater to every one of these use cases. So usually we need from upwards of at least 2 sessions of 2-hour sessions. So 2 by 2-hour sessions. In larger companies, I've done it, like I've done 4, I've done even 5 discovery sessions. And I know this might seem time consuming, but again, setting up something in Zendesk, for me at least, is easy. But understanding why I need to do it is the hardest. That's the hardest part. I need to connect to you. I need to connect to your business. I need to understand why you need something, and then we can just implement it. And that's the easy bit, to be honest. You also have to do a training. So the prerequisite of us working together is for you to also do some homework. And I can actually add this into the homework, because this is, I don't know if I can add it directly. Anyway, I will add it afterwards. So you need to do a training as well. You need to do admin 1, admin 2. You need to do agent training. You need to do, depending on what channels you're starting to use, you have to do the right trainings. The good news is that the trainings right now in Zendesk are free, and you just have to register an account, and you just go ahead and watch those videos. So what I didn't give away is the fact that usually when you start working with me, this is the natural way for us to go through these processes. And yeah, the giveaway, or the takeaway actually, of me not doing any video editing and having this recorded live is the fact that this is like a normal meeting this is how a normal meeting would take place. Yeah, the real life has no takebacks, has no video editing. So yeah, if I just mispronounce a word, I go back and I say it again and I say it correctly, and that's that. I don't have to do any video, or I don't think I have to do any video editing, at least not for now. Maybe in the future. All right, so moving on to the next phase. So this is the discovery phase. This has been like a big chunk of our working together. And if you are, for example, a professional account, this would take maybe like, I don't know, let's say maybe, I don't know, 1 to 2 days of work, maybe like, I don't know, 10 hours, something like that, maybe less. Oop, somebody's calling me and okay, sorry about that. All right, so now the design and build phase. So after we've understood why we're doing things and how, why we're doing things, and then we move on to how we build them. So designing and building what we've discussed in our discovery sessions. So first meeting is going to be a general walkthrough where we go through all of the use cases that we've discussed in the previous meetings and make sure that we have everything right, collected correctly, and that we've covered every edge case that was needed. And then we also discussed like how this would fit into Zendesk's tools and what specific features we're going to be using. This is a 2-hour meeting as well, so a 1 2-hour meeting. Then we have follows the people meeting. So this is a meeting where we discuss who your users are. Right, so as you know, in Zendesk, you have your external users and internal users, or if you don't know, now you've found out. So internal users are your agents, are your maybe partners, that third parties that you need to be in touch with, your administrators, and everyone working inside Zendesk. So you have different roles. You can have chat agents, you can have support agents, you can have talk agents. So you can have content moderators to manage your knowledge-based content as well. So there's quite a lot of deep dive into that. And then there's your external users who essentially are your customers. Like, who are your customers? Do you have any VIP customers? Do you have any customers, I don't know, that require special support? What regions are you supporting? What languages you're supporting, etc. And then, yeah, we discussed like, do you need user fields? Are you going to use organizations? Organizations are a way for you to group your end users or customers, right? So you can group them by these organizations in Zendesk, by region, by domain name that they reach out from, etc. So there's quite a bit of in-depth analysis on that. And then some general settings about users and security about around that as well. Then we discuss ticket data or data collection, right? So we discuss everything from ticket fields, like what ticket fields do you need, like request type, region, country, address, I don't know, is it a billing issue? Is it a product issue? Is it a bug, etc. So everything that we need to collect from the customers in order for us to support them, right? So we discuss what is essential, what is unessential, what needs to be collected for each user, what needs to be translated afterwards into a report, so you are able to look at the right metrics and create the right reports and give them or provide those to management. So then you have ticket forums. So if you want to, yeah, how your agents can collect information. So do your requests differ based on forms? And for example, a billing request has some specific fields which are only relevant to billing requests, while a product issue, for example, has some other fields which are relevant to it. We discussed the views or the queues, where, or filters, if you will. This is our essentially folders where your agents can connect to their Zendesk account and see what tickets they need to be working on. Macros or templates that agents can use to, yeah, to increase their productivity, right? So they can use macros or templates to answer faster and to modify ticket properties based on some specific criteria. And then some general settings about tickets. There's also some other discussions here, like not agent workspace, but contextual workspace and agent workspace, which is something which is a little bit more detailed. There's some new features from Zendesk which we need to cover. I obviously cover those as well, but those are smaller bits which are essentially subtasks of, for example, contextual workspace for macros and ticket forms. So there's a bunch of other features which we cover. Then comes the most interesting bit. It's the channels. So the channels, what are you going to be using? Are you going to be using email? Are you going to be using chat? So for chat, I have here some additional ones for chat. So you're going to use social messaging. So you're going to use any of your social media channels to feed into Zendesk, like Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, WhatsApp maybe. And you can WeChat, text, whatever you want to feed into Zendesk. So we go over those one by one. It's not necessarily to start out with all of them. Best practice is to start with some that you do well, and then you can extend to others, because otherwise you get overwhelmed. Guides, another feature from Zendesk where you can use forms and use a knowledge base to collect knowledge about your product, and potentially when your customers reach out to you, you can just serve them an article from the knowledge base, and you can encourage them to self-serve, and they can solve the request on the spot, thus deflecting some tickets and saving you agent time, saving you money for the company. What social media channels you're going to be using? Are you going to be using Talk? So any voice channels, if you offer support for that. Answer bots, the AI from Zendesk as well. So this also has its own meeting. These are all meetings of 2 hours sessions. So what I will be doing is I will be having videos of all of these, so all of the points in here. That's why I said it's the first of a multi-plan. So sort of, I'm definitely not using the right word here. But anyway, all of these points will have its own video, and you'll be able to see those in a list. And once they're ready, if you have, I don't know, 2 days of your time to spend watch these videos, you're more than welcome. But if you do, and you're on your way to being ahead of the curve, being ahead of, I don't know, maybe like over 95% of customers that use Zendesk that have a customer service system set up. Again, these have been collected by me while working at Zendesk, and while I have gained this 8-year experience of working as a Zendesk consultant. Pause. Please subscribe to my channel if you find this interesting. It will definitely help me with the algorithm. Also, maybe like and comment if you want to see some special content. I love to do content based on people's requests. I don't know if you made it this far, but if you did, you're a champion. Okay, so moving on. After discussing the channels, as I said, we'll be doing a video for each of these points. We're getting close to the end. So business rules, right? And then there's 2 types of business rules. There's triggers, which these are event-based business rules, right? So it's an if-then condition. So if a ticket is created and say ticket type is business request, because we use this business request, then maybe I don't know, send a message to the manager, right? So it happens then and there, right on the spot. Some conditions are met, it fires, and that's it. And then there's a second type, which is automations. So automations are also a business rule. So it has the same principle, and if then, so if a ticket is created, and let's say it's a billing inquiry, then and 4 hours have passed, then fire an action, then do something, like then fire let's say a notification to the team leader of that billing department. So as you've noticed, that this has a time component added to it. So it's an if-then event based, but it also has a time component. So if a certain amount of time passes from these events happening, then perform an action. So yeah, this is this also requires a 2-hour meeting, and the SLA, so service level agreements, like a way for you to prioritize your requests and yeah, keep track of everything that is happening in the system. And yeah, SLAs, based on the SLAs that you have with your customers, with your partners, you are able to create automations and triggers to make sure that you're meeting those service level agreements. And yeah, so this comes together very nicely. Yeah, so yeah, this is, let's say, makes everything come together. There is also a component of reporting as well, obviously, but that is not necessarily included in this package so this one specifically, I will go over in just a second after I finish this. So then I have the launch, which is the pre-launch checklist, and I'm going to show you what that looks like. It's in here. So build review checklist. So it's this, right? So I have a checklist here, like did we add the groups? Did we define the roles? Did we set business schedules? Yeah, did we add support addresses? Did we create triggers? Did we create automations, etc.? And depending on your channel, everything is in here. So I have this step-by-step guide where I document like if everything has been set up correctly, and we go over it to make sure that everything has been set up. So to make sure that everything comes together. And then we have the handover, right? So that's where you're comfortable, and you take everything, you take over everything. So all of these points in this list. So building design phase. So on top of this is just like what I'm going to be doing videos on. There's also a collaborative configuration agreement as well. So that's, let's say, a day of work. So this is going to be, let me do like a quick analysis. This is going to be like maybe 2 days of work. This is going to be like 2 days of work as well. And there's also components of me offering like collaborative configuration. So when I do these with you, I show you how to do it. And I show you how to do it. I recommend the best practices, and then I encourage you to do some homework as well. I don't want you to leave everything to me to be for me to do, because you'll be dependent on me always giving you maintenance and being there for you, which is not ideal. It doesn't it's not very empowering, and I want you to be autonomous. I want you to do these things, be able to do them by yourself and understand why you're doing it. If you understand the impact some things have, then it will be much better for you in the future. And it's much more exciting, to be honest. And I can definitely help you, and I do maintenance as well, but I would like you to also try and build out as much as you can out of this. And what you are not able to do, then I will be there for you in collaborative configuration. And I will set up, like, we'll go over what you've set up. We'll see how it's been set up, why it's been set up. We tweak it or we change it. And then, we make sure that it matches your requirements. And then, there's also a component of user testing, like I can help with that as well. But that also adds some time to my estimate. So if you want to do things well, then you have to have someone assigned that learns and participates in all these meetings, learns from me, then does this exercise of creating the everything around the setup by themselves after I'm gone. Yeah, so let me see if I can show you one more thing. It's on my website and on the services page that I offer, because I also offer a time component which you can check out. So services that I provide: Zendesk optimization, I give you a process, and then Zendesk setup and onboarding. So this is the process that I've walked you through right now. So go ahead and I'll check this out as well. I have for Zendesk Professional, it takes around 50 hours. And for Zendesk Enterprise, it can take up to 80 to 100 hours. It depends project to project. Sometimes I've had customers like Dominic, we have 70 SLAs, service level agreements for you to do. Oh my God. So I had to build those out. I had to build business rules to make sure that we're tracking those. I had to build teams that were keeping those SLAs, keeping an eye out on those SLAs and make sure that they have visibility. So it took a lot of, it was quite time consuming. So it took a way more than 50. It was a professional account in this case. So this is, let's say, like the standard. If we follow my lead through this proven methodology that works, it's 50 hours, or it's, I don't know, maybe 80, 100, maybe less if you're willing to do some of the work. And yeah, but if you're comfortable and you're a big company and you need somebody, yeah, there for you to build everything out for you, then yeah, this goes higher. And yeah, there's also a component of backend integration, yeah, if you need it, but we're not going to get into that right now. Okay, so let me stop my screen sharing. So stop. All right, so this has been a rundown of the future videos that are going to come. I don't know, I hope I did this okay and you were able to watch this. Yeah, I try to do things yeah, to help. I don't know if this was helpful. I know training videos can become boring, but yeah, this doing the tedious, boring stuff sets you apart from yeah, companies that don't do it, and most of them don't end up this far. So thank you for watching. I'll be seeing you in the customer experience sphere. I am happy to be here, and yeah, I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.